All right, let's talk Geno Smith. Rough day for the Raiders. Pirate flags at half mast after this one, right? Not what you wanted. Bad loss to the Chargers, and Smith did not play particularly well. Although, just in general, I thought that the Chargers defense did a great job against this Raiders offense. Like, for example, this play, you have Jakobi Meyers, who really is their number one wide receiver, running a route, trying to get kind of towards the bottom corner of the end zone, towards the top of the screen. Smith is going to take the snap. He's going to look in this direction. I mean, again, it's hard to convert in the red zone situations right here, but if you can have a receiver who can make a play, that can help. And I do just feel like for Jakobi Meyers, as much as I like what he brings to the table, this just isn't his skill set, right? This isn't where he thrives. Like, he is usually best as kind of a number 2 option on a team, and he kind of is with Brock Bowers being the real number 1 option, but like, for an outside receiver, watches the Chargers are all over this. And again, you got to give credit to the Chargers defense for a lot of the plays that they were making. That's Alohi Gilman, the corner, who made that play, so give him some credit. But ultimately, while the quarterback is going to get all the blame, it was not all his fault on these plays. Although heading over here, some of it was. That also is fair to say. You have this is a one-on-one matchup on the outside. This time they're going Trey Tucker, number 1 for the Las Vegas Raiders. So, okay, let's see what he can do on this play. Smith takes the snap. He's going to look in that direction. He fires in that direction. Really good route by Tucker. There is some space here. So, cool. Keep moving the ball down the field, kind of at the end of the half, trying to put up some points here. But this throw is just a bit lower. And again, you always have to wonder, is that a communication thing versus just a missed throw? You kind of have to throw that ball before you see your receiver cut. So it's possible Smith just thought Tucker was going to run that route a couple yards shorter and didn't. But nonetheless, it ends up incomplete, which is, unfortunate because there were yards there. So, whether it's on Smith or not, it looks like it was just a missed throw, but it could have been a communication thing. Either way, these are the things the Raiders are going to have to clean up moving forward. Now let's talk about the interceptions. Geno Smith had 3 of them in this game, and that's too many. Listen, I'll forgive some of the other stuff, say like the situation and all that, maybe communications, but ultimately, you can't turn the ball over 3 times and expect to win many football games, especially against a good team like the Chargers. Let's go to the first one, which was first offensive play of the game. It's zone coverage that the Chargers are going to be in, and you see the route on the screen could potentially get open against this coverage, especially with a play action bringing guys further in. However, when this play begins, again, I'll be a little bit more forgiving, I guess, than some others. This is Gilman once again, the defensive back, who's doing a great job of reading this play, trying to get in position to jump the route. So maybe a bit too predictable by the Raiders offense, but, Chargers are all over it. While it doesn't get intercepted outright, it gets bounced and then intercepted. I still feel like that's, a turnover-worthy play that just a different guy ended up catching the football, but still a mistake by Geno Smith right out of the gate. I'll say interception number 2. Actually, you can defend all of these if you want to. This one's the easiest to defend. So you see he's going to get outside the pocket. It's a 3rd down and 6. You're right around midfield, down 11. Again, this is late in the half. Smith is going to continue running. This is actually the next play. I showed the most recent play just a couple plays earlier. Smith's just throwing up a jump ball right here. It's an arm punt. I have no issue with arm punting on 3rd and 6 at midfield. You're going to punt the ball if you don't convert here. Why not just throw one down the field? Maybe you get a pass interference. Maybe you get a big completion. This is fine. Ultimately, Chargers do a good job. They get the takeaway, but again, you essentially pin them deep. So that's a good play. I have no issue with that. Just because it ends up as, it makes it look worse at the end of the day because it's, 3 interceptions instead of 2. But that actually helped them potentially win. So, no issues there. I'm not going to complain about a guy, making a smart play that ends up putting an interception on his record. Interception number 3, though, definitely one that stings here. So the Raiders, despite kind of, really being stuck in the mud offensively and being in a 3rd and 15, have kind of an outside chance right here. They're down 11 points. If they can at least get some points on this drive, it's now a 1-possession game, which does completely change things. Meyers, once again, running over the middle. Smith is going to take the snap, and, he's going to just take a chance here. And listen, again, like I said, you can kind of defend all 3 of these interceptions if you want to. Derwin James doesn't really have his head turned around when Smith is throwing this one down the field. Yes, there's no separation, but hey, if your receiver can play it and the defensive back can't, well, maybe you can get a touchdown that way. And it's third and 15. The offense hasn't been doing anything. Yes, you could make it a one-score game with a field goal, but the goal isn't to make this a one-score game. The goal is to win the game, right? And getting a touchdown would make it a lot easier for you to ultimately win the game than getting a field goal here. So I understand wanting to take a risk. The issue is just it's Derwin James. You have to be careful around throwing number 3. This one gets batted up by Derwin James. Again, an interception, but it's a bit of a risk there. You can defend it. You can defend it if you want to, but ultimately, while one interception I'm not even really going to care about, 2 interceptions is too many. Every now and then it's going to happen, but yeah, that's an issue. Also, this play, watch the center just like completely, botch snapping that football. By the time Smith picked it up, the pressure was there and he couldn't really do much with it. So some sloppiness all around for the Raiders in this game. It was certainly not just a Geno Smith was not playing well. There were other issues. Honestly, this play was probably the worst miss of the day for Geno Smith. They're down 14 with early on in the fourth quarter. You have Brock Bowers running a route trying to get open towards the end zone. Smith takes the snap, and to be honest, this play works. I mean, you see Brock Bowers is open right here. If you get this one, give him a catchable ball, this could be a touchdown, and now you're just down 7 with, again, 13 minutes to play. That's a ton of time left. But this was a missed throw, and after a penalty and, some other not being able to move the ball down the field plays, they ultimately had to settle for a field goal to make it an 11-point game. So again, opportunities here that the Raiders just weren't quite able to hit on. I'll show this play real quick. It was a 2nd and 17. This is early on in the game. You saw Smith making some plays, right? This wasn't a complete disaster for him. You're going to see him scramble out. At this point, he could look to throw. Take a look down the field, doesn't love what he sees. Watch as not only is he going to rush, but he decides to, he's not sliding either, and he did it a couple times. Like, you can tell he wants to win. You can tell he has the drive and all of that stuff, but ultimately, that can only take you so far, right? You need some other stuff, and there were just too many issues in this game. And even late, when the Raiders just kept getting these opportunities and not being able to convert, this is a 4th down and 3 situation. Smith takes a snap. Again, get points here. You still have 2 timeouts and a 2-minute warning. Like, game's far from over. You see there is going to be an unblocked player here for the Chargers. So for Smith, you got to get the ball out of your hands quickly, which really you kind of got to do anyway. He instead bolts backwards, and that's not the play there. You got to get the ball out of your hands. Didn't love that from him. Also, this next one is going to be a 4th down and 5. You see, again, scrambles around, trying to figure something out. Again, this is very quickly after the Raiders, by a miracle, got the ball back. Another chance still potentially to make it a 1-score game. And here, Geno Smith throws the football away. By his reaction, he was also a little slow in walking off the field. I almost wonder if he pulled a Tom Brady and thought this was 3rd down. That's kind of what the body language looked like. Either way, like, you can't throw the ball away on 4th down and 5 when you're only down 2 scores. Like, that's just, that can't happen. So, yeah, some real issues, and ultimately that's why the Raiders lost this football game. Really disappointing week 2 after it was such an impressive week 1 for Geno Smith, where he did so much good for the Raiders. He's always had a bit of inconsistency in his game, going up against the Commanders defense next week, which has not played great, didn't play great last year, did play well against the Giants week 1, didn't play well against the Packers week 2, but that might just be the Packers. We'll see if they can get back on track. But yeah, those are my thoughts. What are yours? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.